What is up? Welcome back. We are still in the old place for reasons, but this is a little interview I did with my buddy Steven from October, like late October, and I had intentions to edit it much sooner and then did not. Fortunately, though, it's still a pretty fun listen, and the dude's super cool. Definitely recommend checking out his work. I'll put his Instagram handle right here, but it's a pretty fun conversation. Hope you enjoy it. Just like I had a blank wall, so I like your little deal in here. Looks good. Little
This
office
is
space.
this is my office space. Yeah,
Yeah, is that a futon there?
bookshelf, futon. Yeah, this is when my wife kicks me out of the room. I have to go to the office and lay down in here.
Yeah, I mean it
Books.
works. Futons are pretty good. I have a hard time with them just given my dimensions, but very
Yeah, yeah.
flexible, so makes it
I'm
work.
like I always am like kind of got the toes against the end.
Yeah,
Part of it.
yep.
I think we're
I
both
usually sleep that
big
way
men.
anyways, just kind of like curled up, so it's not a big deal. I see the Super 8 in the background up on the
Oh,
top there.
that's one of it's
One of
one
them.
that doesn't work. It's
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
an Elmo. Someone gifted this to me, and I've tried really hard to get it to work. I don't know if you can see what
Gotcha.
type that is, but I've I played with it. There's nothing, there's little clicks in there, so something's going on. But yeah, I think I showed you my other one, the
Yeah, yeah, you were shooting. I was
this
wondering, did you
this
get
is
that
the other one. I haven't shot with this from since
oh, okay.
I pulled it out before. I need to do something with it. It's just waiting to be used.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because like I hadn't thought about shooting Super 8 for a while just because I've had so many negative experiences with it. It's like so expensive. And it's just like
Yeah.
I can't really rationalize the cost. So, but after like watching you shoot with it and just thinking about like shooting black and white film and Super 8, I was like, I kind of
Yeah.
want to now. But
Black and white. I don't know what the results are gonna be. So we'll see.
yeah,
Um, I should just like make it a goal to shoot that like by the end of November or something. Like do something with it.
yeah, I think that I need to do more of that because usually what I'll do is just like, oh, I'll get that done. And then like it just, I don't think about it until I do. I need to like set tangible goals of like, oh, I need to get this done by this date or something.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what time's been like for you, but for me, it just feels like it's like slipping by.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost November.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I still think it's like August, to be
Yeah,
honest. Like I
definitely.
was, yeah, I don't know. And my boss at my job was like, hey, you've got this container that's been sitting here since like September or something. I was like, oh, it was like last week, like no big deal. Of course, I don't have any information for it anyway. So it's like there's nothing I can do about it, but I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, it was only last week. I'm like, oh no, that was like 3 weeks ago. That's awesome. Just
So what's your balance between what you work like on cameras and what you're doing otherwise, I guess?
yeah. Um right now it's a little fucked, to be honest, because I've not been like accepting more camera work because I have one, two, three, four. Well, like I have like five cameras right now that I'm just like I don't know why they're not working. I got a
Yeah.
6.7. I've never worked on a 6.7 before, a Pentax 6.7, and it's just like refusing to work. I've replaced a lot of the parts that were failing, but it's still not working. So there's like
Hmm.
clearly more to do with it. I don't know where to begin there. Got an FE that I've taken apart at least 100 times, and that's
Oh,
not even
wow.
an exaggeration. And I still just I don't know.
Yes, big.
Um, and then I got some other stuff that's just been like what are we doing here? So it's been like pretty disheartening though to work on that stuff. So I've been like not doing as much of it. And then I've been spending so much time editing for the show stuff. And so that's been like a lot of my time. And then my day-to-day job usually takes about 4 hours to get through everything. So I do I work from 6 to 3
Okay.
at it, but it usually takes me till like 10 or 11 and I'm usually good for the day.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of spend the rest of the day trying to figure out what else I'm doing with my life. And yeah, that's been fun. But yeah, what about you?
Baking.
You
You said you bake too, right? So
oh dude, oh my god, yeah. Fuck. Let
have
me
you been baking lately?
oh
What's
yeah, I've been making a whole lot. I got been like trying new stuff, which has been fun. I made some like little Stroopwafel deals.
Oh, those are fancy looking.
Yeah. And then I got some cinnamon rolls. That's before
Oh man,
I
I'm a
baked
sucker
them.
for cinnamon rolls. Looking good.
And then let's see what else I got. I made
Just hand
these
rolled
little,
and everything.
oh yeah, dog.
Like lay it out and oh, what are
Mm,
those babies?
little like pumpkin bread pumpkins or whatever.
Rad.
I think I might make some more of those soon. But yeah, I've been baking. So that's been nice, like stress relief of just like not worrying about real life, just gonna bake a little bit.
It's a good
But
way to
yeah,
do it.
and you've been busy too. I saw that little short film deal you put out, the little it's not a documentary because it's not that long, but like a little snapshot of the ultra runner or whatever she was.
Did,
And
didn't I do something? Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, on YouTube.
Uh, that one was actually shot like a year and a half ago or 2 years
Perfect.
ago. But we shot it for Osprey, like Osprey backpacks, and so
Hmm.
I wasn't like allowed to share it publicly for a while because they were using it, and so finally I was allowed to. So I just was like, I'll put it on my YouTube.
Yeah, that was sick. It looked beautiful. I was like, and I just like the shots you got at the cabin. I was watching. I'm like, I want to be there so bad. Like, I know, like, I just want to exist there. Like my mental state. It looks so
Yeah,
peaceful.
that's
I
like a
love that.
cool area. Like I wish I had that cabin too.
Yeah,
Fireplace, read a book, play some games.
yeah. Just play with the dog, chop some wood. Those wood chopping shots were
Dreaming.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Okay, so that leads me to a question I have. What camera do you use for your video work? Because it looked so good.
Ah, where's it at? I use a Sony A7S III, I think.
Okay, okay.
Um, so I'm like, I used to shoot with like a Sony, ah, man, like the proper video camera, like a
So the like FX
yeah, I had
700 or
the F
whatever.
F9 maybe or something like that,
Okay,
F5 or F9. Um,
F700. I think that's the one I've shot with or something. Anyway.
yeah, but I found a lot of my work is I shoot with this baby because
Hmm.
it's so tiny, full
Yeah,
frame. Yeah, the A7S III. Yeah,
nice.
and I like it because I can do up to 120 frames a second and in 4K, and I can also shoot proxies with it, which is super nice for editing to
Oh
have
yeah.
proxies to
Ooh.
be able to use. So it just generates proxies along with your full size video, and so it makes it pretty simple. So
The one of the like first projects that I like edited, we shot on a Red Weapon, I think it was, the 8K camera.
mhm.
And they didn't tell us how to shoot on proxies or to shoot with proxies or to edit with them or anything like that. Cause
Yeah,
I think it actually just automatically shoots on proxies as well. But like it was this whole thing. Nobody told us. And it was like this 3-minute project. And I like blew up a computer because I was just trying to edit it as I've edited
yeah,
everything else.
that'll like destroy your computer. If you
Yeah, it was
try to
pretty
edit
awesome.
it straight up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think I was like one of the first people to go for the projects. It was like over a semester, and nobody said anything. I didn't ask, but like I didn't think about it, and then it was like this whole big thing. I was like, "Well, don't be like Alex." And I was like, "Come on, come on,
Nobody
help me
told
out."
me.
Yeah, I was
Nobody
like,
helped
"What
me
am I
out.
supposed to? I don't know these things. I don't care."
Yeah.
But yeah, that's nice. I really like the kind of more compact form factor of cameras. I like the Black Magic quite a bit. I've been enjoying that, but
Yeah.
I went to my cousin's wedding in Atlanta, and so I like packed that and a couple lenses and stuff, and it was just kind of like it's kind of a lot. Like I just can't walk out the door with it. You kind of have to like bring
For
stuff
sure.
with you, which is
Yeah.
fine.
I had a Black Magic, like the first pocket camera that came out. I was like, I'm gonna get this thing. And I liked it, but the same thing I had a problem with like managing the file sizes.
Hmm.
Um, and I also had a hard time color correcting it or like, color grading it. So I I'm sure it's better, way better now because that was the first version of it that I got. But
Yeah.
now I've used Sony for like 5 or 6 years now, and I have all Sony glass. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess I'll stick with Sony for a
Oh
while.
yeah. I think that's also like how it goes is like you can pretty much make anything work for you. It just kind of depends on like what you're more comfortable with and then what you have
Yeah.
the glass for. That's typically how that goes. It's the same thing
And
with film cameras too, because people are like,
yeah,
"Oh, what's the best film camera?" It's like that is such a terrible question to
it
ask because
is.
like there's no real answer. But
Well, I think
speaking,
even with like video or photo, it's not the camera that like does the work.
no, no, no.
You can do correct exposures and stuff. Like these cheaper video cameras or cheaper film cameras can do just as good of a job if the user is using it well. So
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. It's like it depends on your competency with like the art itself or with like the tools that you're using and then just like whatever vision you have for it. Like if you can make anything work for you, but it just kind of depends. And there are definitely some systems that are easier to make work for you than others,
mhm,
but I think for like most people that are just trying to get into it, like all of those little nuances aren't going to matter as much. But
yeah.
it is definitely something interesting to think about because like my first film camera, like official film camera, was like the C330, which is not something I would like recommend to a beginner because it's just like there's a lot going on there.
But there's no
um
battery, so it's great.
it's true, yeah, I know, like I think just like the base mechanics of it are beautiful. Like I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a great camera in my
Uh,
opinion, so easy to use once you know how to use it, and everything just makes sense. But I remember it was like in San Francisco like trying to take a shot and I like couldn't figure out how to get a level. I'm just like I was so confused.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, and I think too, I got an Emmy Super after shooting film for like a year. And then I was like, oh, this is just easy. I just had it on auto all the
Uh,
time. And I'm really glad that that wasn't my first camera because it would give me like zero appreciation for like having to
you a little
actually,
lazy.
yeah, I was just like, oh, why would I need a meter? I can just put it on auto and let it rip.
Yeah,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
there
It's
is
tough
something to be
because
said for that too.
we like see on Instagram and stuff people using these like really high end film cameras even,
Oh yeah.
and you think you need that camera to get a good shot, and you don't.
No, no.
Uh,
Yeah, and I think that's kind of an issue that I've had because they're not like I don't know. Sometimes I see people that like take pictures of things with their nice camera and like the picture does nothing for me, but because they took it with this nice camera, like somehow adds value to that image,
yeah.
or adds value to them as a photographer because like, well, they've acquired this good. They've acquired this thing. Like they've got it figured out. And I was like, well, it's not really like I can see why someone would like the picture, but I don't, whatever. So
Yeah,
it's like having to kind of I don't know. I just have a really hard time when people are like, because I have this, I am good now.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. It seems very performative. Whereas like you can just take the same photo with a cheap camera and it probably turn out just as well. And you can't tell the difference. I knew this one person that was like kept saying like, oh, I can tell the difference in lenses, like watching a film. She'd be
uh,
like, oh yeah, well the coloration of this is off a little bit. So this was obviously shot with a Rokinon or whatever. It was just like I wouldn't even know where to begin to like look up that information, but like I would think that like if you're getting down that far into the weeds of whatever it is you're watching, it's got to be the most boring fucking thing in the world.
right, yeah.
You thinking about like, well, this was obviously shot on this glass. I'm like,
uh,
I don't know. It was just kind of
that means
weird.
you're not, and maybe that's the movie's problem that they didn't get you invested in
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But generally, you watch a movie to enjoy the story,
yeah,
and
exactly. And
hopefully,
just
like
like
you don't notice those things.
and it just kind of is weird. I'm like, do you want like an award for that? Or like, I don't know what. It was
Yeah,
just like, it was a good like 15-minute conversation, just like talking about the different like effects lenses have. And I'm like, this is the only time I've ever had that conversation. So it's very poignant in my mind. And also, it's just like 99.9% of people don't care about those things. And
yeah.
like, so long as it looks like relatively legible, and even then, if it doesn't, like people will still enjoy the image. I don't know. It was just kind
Well,
of
like
weird.
we talked about this. There's a movie I watched. I can't remember the title right anymore, but they used a 35 mil lens for the whole movie.
Mhm.
Every shot's on that lens, and they just you either shoot it closer or further away, and that's how you zoom. You
Yeah.
know? And those
Yeah.
kinds of things, knowing about that just kind of makes me appreciate the movie more.
Yeah.
On that side, it's not like picking it apart, but it's going, oh, that's rad. Now I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
enjoy the movie.
Yeah, no, it creates like an actual effect on it. And I think this person was like just kind of bullshitting because like I guarantee they're probably
The
wrong about
blues are a little bit
90%.
off. This must be a Rokinon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly. It was like, oh, there's a little bit of a red tint there. That's a Rokinon. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like the only time I've noticed that in any lens, because I've looked at a lot of lenses, is like some of the old Nikon and some of the old Super Takumar lenses, like the emulsion, there's like some radiation buildup in the glass. So like it'll get that yellow tint to it.
Okay.
But even then, that's like super sensitive. Like if you sit it outside in light or like under UV light, that'll go away pretty immediately. And that's been built up over like, 60,
Yeah.
70 years or whatever. But other than that, like glass is glass is glass, especially like more recently. The older stuff is different because they've got different emulsions because they weren't accounting for like color and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
anyway, then again, it just like that's not fun for me. Like talking about that stuff is just like not enjoyable.
Well, and then it depends on how like much of a purist you are, because you can take it into Lightroom and pull down the yellows, and then it's not there anymore.
Exactly. That's the other
So
thing too. It's like you can make anything look like anything else. Like people are
yeah.
like, oh, well, the color science of my Sony is better. And I'm like, well, I'm sure that there's like elements to it that you know how to manipulate better. But
Uh,
I think like if you had some fucking Canon raw files or whatever, you could probably make it look pretty equatable or whatever.
definitely. Yeah.
It's just kind of fun, I guess, to realize like how kind of inconsequential all of these arguments are.
Mm,
Just use what works for you.
exactly. Totally agree.
What is your favorite film camera? If you had to pick like just one, because now I'm curious.
I only own four like
Ooh,
film cameras.
okay. C220.
Yep, you know that one. Six
Um,
four five.
right.
So this is a 645
Beautiful.
220, which that's what I think that's what we connected on, was the we both have these babies,
The
the
Mamiya
TLRs.
TLRs.
So
Yeah.
great.
Beautiful.
I think it's a competition between the TLR and this baby here, my Minolta X370. But this one has sentimental value.
Okay.
This is the first film camera I ever shot on when I was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And it was my mom's, and she passed it on to me.
Oh, okay.
And so that has, but also I've taken it on all kinds of trips, and it's always held firm, hasn't had any problems, hasn't broken down, nothing.
Wow.
And so it's kind of the same thing we were just talking about. Like if the tool works, then use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, that's
So,
I'm genuinely impressed by that because I feel like it might just be by virtue of like my old job and then like the stuff I see, but like I've only seen Minoltas in just the worst condition possible.
they're
So
well used.
yeah.
So no, I can't vouch for any other Minolta, but
Right.
this one I think is a good beginner one, because it's you on eBay, it's cheap. You
Oh
can get
yeah.
a cheap film camera, Minolta X370, and I think that line X300 or whatever is like
Yeah.
the cheaper stuff they made. So
Yeah, like the X370 and the X570 are
yeah,
like pretty comparable to the X700 in terms of like what they offer, which is hilarious because like everybody clamors after the X700, even though it's like the worst camera I think I've ever seen in my
is
life.
it?
Oh, it's terrible. Like they're so unreliable and it's just plastic.
Really?
Like
This one's
one,
metal, so
yeah, yeah.
it's pretty solid.
Yeah, but it's weird to me how like I get like in a perfect world, it's a great camera, the X700, but like they did not age well at all. But that
Yeah.
being said, it's funny when there's like the X370, even like the XG7, I think it is, where it's like these are just better cameras, but they're a little bit less common, so they're still pretty cheap, which is nice. And then
Okay.
also like the MD mount is pretty underrated in terms of like quality of glass is like pretty okay, but
Yeah,
they're also just super affordable.
for sure.
And they got a bunch of funky focal lengths too. There's like 47 millimeters out there. I think there was like a 38 I saw one time.
I wouldn't mind getting a 38. I just want to get a little bit of a faster lens. This one's not bad. It's 1.7, but
Okay.
I would like to get like a 1.4 if possible,
Yeah.
or a 1.2. I'm not sure they even sell a 1.2, but I know 1.4 is out
I
there.
think there's a 55 one too. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. That sounds about right. I think I saw one time or something. But
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty hefty lens. I've got the 50-1.4 in K mount, whatever, and that thing
Mhm.
is hilarious because it's just so heavy compared to like the 1.7s that I have, which is like much lighter. It's just
Yeah.
interesting to feel like the difference in
How they
glass in
made them.
between. Yeah. But yeah,
For
I don't
sure.
know. I hate on Minoltas a lot because it's really easy for me to do. But I mean, if it works, it works. And then you also have the Nikonos, right? Do you still have
Yeah, I
that?
was gonna pop that one over. This one, I got maybe beginning of the summer.
Okay.
Mountains fun. The Iconos 5 is the one I've got.
Yeah,
So
I've got one of those buried in my room somewhere. I
yeah.
like them a lot, but I have the Nikon Action Sport, I think it is, which is like the
Uh,
little point and shoot diving camera. And I almost prefer that more just because it's like it's kind of a chunker, but it's like very tiny. At the
and is it
38.
autofocus on that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
that's
there's
handy.
also a manual focusing option too, which is kind of
Okay.
tight.
The
Um,
scale focusing is tricky on this baby. You
yeah.
have to really be, it's
You literally dialed
key.
in. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's kind of fun to do. So I like to
Yeah.
use it for street photography, which is weird. It's not meant for that really, but it's super quiet,
Oh
and
yeah.
you just kind of like look at where you want to shoot and quickly dial it in, and then you can like hip shoot from the hip.
Have
So
you had
it's
any issues with the like focusing though? Because I heard there was like something to do with like the convexing of the glass to
oh,
kind
for
of
sure. There's probably
deal with the
tons of that
water. Yeah, yeah.
stuff. There's definitely like some. It's because it's built. It's the glass is meant to be underwater, right? So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
meant to like whatever adjust for that. So you get some funky stuff for sure. Some weird focusing, almost like tilt shifty stuff
Yeah.
in the corners. But I kind of like that. It's gives it some character. Um, Especially I tend to be because I'm not sure if I come from a digital background, but because I shoot a lot of digital too, I like stuff to be like perfect as well.
Hmm.
So a lot of times when I'm shooting, I like crisp things and I like them to be just the way I planned it to be.
Right.
And
Right.
so sometimes this can be freeing because I'm like, I don't know what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
It's definitely not gonna be what I think it's gonna be.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's kind of fun just to be like, okay, this is the type of shooting I'm gonna do with this camera. So
I love that too. I think that's why I shoot a lot of like expired film because just kind of like takes that weight off my shoulders of like this is just gonna be a fun thing. We'll see what
yeah,
happens.
for sure.
And it used to be a lot easier when it was cheaper to get film developed and stuff, but now it's like a little bit less fun. But the point being is like it's just enjoyable to just kind of see what happens and just
Yeah.
it's a fun experience. It's not like I don't really do much freelance film photography work.
Hmm.
Actually, I don't really do any at all now that I think about it, but still, it's just kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
And finding like different little cameras to use that are kind of different than what I'm used to, muy bien, a lot of fun there. So
for
I
sure.
get that. But also sometimes it is nice when things just like turn out how they should. I'm
Definitely.
just like, oh, film doesn't have to be like so weird. Like sometimes it actually just works like it should.
I find that's the funny thing with if I post like a something that's all scratched or something wacky happened in developing, like
Hmm.
people like, oh, that's amazing. And I'm like, I didn't mean that for that to
Oh
happen.
yeah, yeah.
That's not really what I wanted it to look like.
Yeah. I'm not
But
very happy
cool,
about this,
you
but
know.
I'm glad you like it, I guess. Yeah. I actually
Kind of the
just
cool
developed
area.
some photos.
Oh,
Just
you did?
yeah, earlier today. Like as I was texting you, because we
Yeah.
went out to graveyard yesterday to shoot.
Uh,
I just used the little bit of my Cinestill monobath or whatever to develop the photos there.
were you shooting black and white then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tried to use my little like light table thing to scan because I didn't want to have to even deal with the V500 or V550, whatever. I'm just I'm so over it, dude. Like I just want it to work. I just want a scanning system to just work, you
Yeah.
know. It's been tough.
You got to upgrade, I guess. The
Yeah, but
V600.
yeah, I don't think I don't think that'll work though. I was just thinking because like I was going through my old scans that I like did probably about a year ago now, and I did them at like a pretty high DPI. I thought I had all my settings dialed in because I like tried to look into it and stuff. and I still just was like not super impressed with how anything came out. And I
Yeah.
shot a bunch of Color Plus 35 millimeter last year, developed that at home. It looked great. So I was like, okay, I'll pop it in the scanner. And it just like all of the colors just look super flat and like just terrible. I'm like looking at these pictures like, why even develop at home if I can't get a good result?
For sure.
So
Color is so tricky, I think.
yeah.
Have you done anything where you've brought it to like a photo lab and had them scan it as well, just to see what they like, how you could adjust, maybe
No, I've not
adjust your
thought about
settings?
that.
I don't
I think maybe if I cared a little bit more, I probably
know.
would. But
Yeah.
I mean, up until like last January, I would say like I was only doing like darkroom. So I would just like send my stuff out and get them developed and scanned and whatnot.
Uh,
And then I met a dude in town down in Phoenix who ran the photo lab and stuff there. And I would potentially have brought it into them, but then I moved and stuff. And also like I don't really like I didn't really like how they were like talking about people's photos behind their back and stuff. Like it just kind of weirded me out. Like
yeah.
I'd be in there like working on cameras and stuff, and they're like in there talking shit about someone's photos and stuff. And I'm like, I don't take great photos. Like I fully acknowledge that. It's just like I don't really want to like be wondering about that. And like when they see me, they're like, oh, that's the guy that
Oh,
took that
great.
shitty picture. Yeah, just like I just don't want to deal with that. So
Yeah.
he would always like get on my case about like, oh, bringing stuff to get developed. I'm like, I don't really want to. And then I did one time and it cost like so much money and it didn't even like look that good. Like, it was just kind of like okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That can be
I'm
disappointing. Like when you pay a lot of money for something and then get it back and it's like not
yeah,
that great.
just like
And maybe it's your fault, but it's still like you paid a lot of money for that. So it's
yeah. Yeah, I
yeah.
was just like, I don't really want to do this anymore. And it just kind of felt like a weird thing. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. All that to be said. What kind of film do you like shooting with? What film are you like
Great
shooting with
question.
now? Yeah.
Um, I I'm not like crazy particular about film, but I tend to be like, oh, if it works, it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And think I had never shot medium format until this year actually. And in March I got the Mamiya C220 and I was like, I'm gonna try this out. And I found like a really good deal on eBay for it. And it was a Japanese based supplier. So, get the camera from where it was made,
Oh
you know.
yeah.
And yeah, so I got that and I was looking for some good black and white film. I've tried, I think FP4, the
Hmm.
older stuff. I tried that with 35 millimeter. It was okay. I don't like like a gray look to things. I like my whites to be white.
Yeah. The
So
sharp contrast.
yeah, and so I looked into the Lomography's stuff, and I really liked their Kino Potsdam 100, and it's got more of like a cinema. I guess that's how they brand it. Cinema film that's very I don't know, film noir esque, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this is just like the box of it here.
Okay. Tight. Yeah, I
Um,
like hardly ever shoot with lomography stuff because I
yeah,
always just forget it exists.
I don't really like their color film. Um, and but I tried it a few times. But it's probably you got some right there. I've I didn't like how it came out, but
Hmm.
I maybe that's also because I home developed, and that was some of my first times home developing with color, and that
Yeah,
could definitely be the issue.
I
So
think because I sent this out, I shot 3 rolls of 800 this summer in different
uh-huh.
times, and I sent it out to I think different places. I had sent one up to Citizen. I think I sent the other two out to Darkroom, whatever, and I got them back. And it honestly looked like how my Color Plus stuff did when I home developed. Like just the
Okay,
colors were kind of muddy a
yeah,
little bit. There wasn't like a lot of like sharp definition. And I mean, for 3 rolls, I think it was like $50 or something, which like is pretty steep, all things
yeah,
considered. For like, I don't really like spending a lot of money on film, especially color film.
yeah,
Anyway, it just like it left a lot to be desired, and I felt like I wasn't shooting it. I was like mostly daytime stuff. I wasn't like shooting late at night or anything, and I don't think it really dealt with shadows very well. So
yeah,
it says 800 speed, but like doubtful, doubt it.
yeah,
Yeah, I kind of had that same experience. It was just like
Yeah, so for the color stuff, I haven't been impressed. I do maybe want to try the new turquoise that came out recently.
Hmm.
I don't like weird stuff too much.
Yeah.
So uh I'm not like gonna go order some right now, but maybe if I suddenly in the middle of like at 2 a.m. go, oh, I'm gonna buy some turquoise, then I will.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been there many times. Oh yeah, I need this camera. Why not?
For sure. But for right now, I think I've purchased probably like at least $300 worth of pot stem from them from Lomo because it's always been reliable, always
Yeah.
consistent the way I like it. So
And
I have
that's,
a
I think, one of my favorite things is when you just find a film that you're just like, that's the one that just
yeah,
works for me. And it's fantastic.
it's a good film.
Um, but yeah, I'm not like a big fan of like the gimmicky film either too much. Like that's why I was really happy doing the shoot with you with the 800T. Wasn't you just taking pictures of like neon signs and stuff? Because like that's cool. Like there's a place for that and stuff. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like it just doesn't do much for me. Like that was the first time I shot 800T was in Toronto, and I had it in my Canon at 28,
Uh,
which I didn't know this at the time, but it only like the ASA only reads up to 400. So like
really.
that was kind of a fun little lesson. But yeah, like I got some really cool shots in like Niagara Falls. There's like this one corner with like a bunch of like neon lights and stuff.
Uh,
And I didn't really even think about it at the time, but it's like I got my buddy in the foreground and like all of these lights and stuff in the background. It looks pretty cool. But
yeah.
like it just doesn't like I don't think that like makes me a good photographer, or anything like that. It's just kind of like, oh, I found a cool sign.
It looks different than what people are used to seeing, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, and
That's
like
why
that's
people like
cool.
it,
And
I
like
think.
I'm a sucker for neon. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the look of it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But just for me personally, like taking that picture doesn't like scratch any itch that I have.
Yeah,
And
for
also when the film is like that expensive, I'm like, it's not really worth it for the gimmick in that regard. But I think how you used the 800T, I think it really looked cool. So it's like, that's tight.
cool.
It's not like I don't know. I enjoy when like shooting 800T in like the daytime because you get like different looks and stuff like that. Like stuff where
Yeah.
it's like exploiting the kind of gimmicky nature of it in a way that's like people are unaccustomed to seeing,
Yeah,
just a
I
greater
agree.
exploration of that. I think that I enjoy that quite a bit more than just like neon sign or whatever
Yeah.
else.
I think
But
that's a good topic, maybe a touchy topic, but um I've always feel like just my method is I like to shoot for like with a purpose in mind, if
yeah,
that makes sense. And maybe it's the filmmaking side or whatever, but like I want to tell a story or something. I don't want it just to be what's there.
yeah,
And so I don't usually go hunting for just a sign or a car. I don't know much about cars and I don't
yeah.
really care about cars, the corners of cars. The
I was just
but
about to say that.
but there's like shapes that are interesting and stuff,
Yeah,
but it's a manufactured good,
yeah,
and that's fine. But it
yeah.
that just doesn't do it
I
for me. So
There was like a big scene down in like the Scottsdale area for a while of like people taking photos of cars. And I knew a couple people in the group, they'd go to like car meetups and stuff like that.
mm,
And just like it never like I like cars enough. Like I know a little bit about cars. Like I can talk about cars with people, but it's not something I have passion for. It's not something I'm like super interested in. I find
mm.
it cool that they exist, but like I'm not like, oh, do you see this new car? It doesn't do anything for
Check
me.
out this shot I got in this
Yeah.
car.
And it's like if I see a cool car, I'll probably take a picture of it because I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like the
Uh,
other day I saw like this Australian car. It's like a modern day El Camino kind of
oh
deal.
yeah,
And I was like so stoked because like, oh my goodness, like I never thought I'd see one in real life. Like it's
for
so
sure.
cool. But I was like, okay, cool. Like that's it. I'm
Yeah.
good. Like I don't need to like, I don't know. When I
If there's
see
like a
the
story behind it, like if you're if there's the person who built it or refixed it up and they're like want to stand there with it, sure, I'd love to
oh
capture
yeah,
that, like
yeah,
that kind of thing.
little
But just
slice of
like
life deal.
the thing itself is not interesting to me. The
Yeah,
story behind how it came to be maybe is much more interesting to me.
yeah. I would agree with that because I think, yeah, it just kind of seeing the corner of a car.
And I think it's we're gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but like seeing the comments on those pictures, like, "Whoa, crazy shot," and like stuff like that. You're like, "That's the corner of a car.
Yeah.
Nice job."
Like it would almost be more funny to me if it was like just some like random like 93 Corolla car corner like
I would
that
think we
because
should
it's
start doing that. We should
oh
just
yeah.
start taking pictures of shitty cars
Yeah,
and
just a subversion of the art. Like that to me is more interesting. Like that is
yeah,
like infinitely more interesting. Like, oh, look at this old and like it's cool. It's good for some people. People enjoy that. More
yeah,
power to them.
for sure.
Like I'm not, I don't think either of us here are trying to say like this is the right way to take photography.
No,
Just
no,
like
not at all.
personally, that does nothing for me. And I couldn't agree more. It just feels very like paint by the numbers kind of thing, where it's like,
Mhm.
oh, if I do these things, people will like my photos and I'll become popular.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just don't really like justify that as like means of success, like, oh, I've got 70 likes on my photo. People love me, you
Yeah.
know. Technical issues here. Don't worry about
What's going on over
it.
there,
It's just earthquake,
man?
very localized earthquake. But yeah, that's interesting because like I don't think I have a favorite film to shoot with right now because it's just been kind of like I've not been shooting like as much.
Yeah.
I did just shoot like 2 rolls of Portra 400, which is like I never ever shoot, but I just like had some on hand. I was like, shoot, I might as well.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that comes back. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I really like I went into a very deep rabbit hole and got a bunch of Portra 160 VC, the 220 film,
Uh-huh.
and it's like all expired, but I have like just a bucket full of that film and I
Oh,
love
that's
it so
cool.
much. So it does cost a small fortune, but it's like totally worth it.
Yeah, 220. I haven't shot with 220 because I couldn't find it anywhere, of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
uh but someday.
No, I'm just better than
Good.
you. It's fine. But
I'll come by. I'll visit your place and find the whatever bucket you've got it hidden
yeah,
in.
no, yeah, for sure. It's great. Now I got to fight you off. Oh man, I shouldn't be telling people this too because I feel
I
like the
know.
more I talk about it, the like harder
Alex
it'll be
is
for me to
stocked up
find.
on
Yeah,
220. You get
yeah,
it from him.
yeah. I sent a picture a few months ago in like the little group chat or whatever about like some of the film that I had, and I immediately regretted it because like I was like, oh my god, it was just like this whole thing, and I'm like, I don't actually think I want people like knowing what I have because
Yeah.
I got a bunch of shit, sure, but like, leave me alone. I'm not gonna let you have any of it. It's my garbage, okay?
Definitely. I just put some ECN2 film into this one.
Ooh,
I haven't shot with ECN2 yet, but I
yeah,
didn't realize it until I was like, I had bought the film off of eBay because I was just like, where do I find this film that I can use this? I got a developing ECN2 developing kit.
right.
I was like, where do I what film can I use with this? And it was hard to find films. It just seemed like it that I could use. And then I found some and I just like didn't really look at it, just ordered a bunch or whatever. It was like 5 pack. And it's like a Kodak, it's like ISO 1. It's like super, super slow. So
Yeah,
yeah, we'll see how it goes. I have
interesting.
to shoot in like sunlight at like 1/60th of a second. It's crazy.
I got a bunch on Etsy,
Oh
a
yeah.
bunch of like 500T like hand rolled stuff. 500T, I got 250T, and I shot that at like a wedding. It was okay. It wasn't like my favorite thing. The 500T that I shot prior to that turned out much better. And I shot another roll of it when I moved up here, and that turned out like absolute dog shit. And then it costs like a lot of money to develop. So like I would love to shoot more ECN too. Like if I could only shoot that film in terms of color, I'd be really happy with that. Because
Mhm.
then I could just buy like the film core, the 100-foot core and just or
Yeah.
400 foot and just like hand roll and stuff. That'd be so much better and then develop it at home. But then I just need to scan it. So I don't know. It's
Same
just
problem.
yeah, same thing. Yeah. I've been thinking about that too for like black and white because it's like I love shooting black and white. It's just like so much cheaper. It's just I think it's cooler. I think it's again, it gives you a little bit more of a purpose and stuff in my mind of like the limitations, like the introduction of limitations is why I started shooting film. I
Yeah.
just like, I don't have an infinite amount of shots. I have to like really think about what I'm going to take pictures of and how I want to kind of tell that story, like you were saying. And I think like having black and white kind of minimized that even more to like, all right, you see a cool sunset, doesn't matter because you're not going to be able to really see it as well. So I feel like that's more interesting to me. But I'd love to get into just like being able to make it my own so I don't have to keep
Yeah.
spending all of my money. But anyway, I can spend it on something else at that point. But what led you into film photography?
Um, my mom used to shoot weddings
Okay.
back in the day, and my dog's at the door.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'll let him in real quick.
Oh, please do. Dogs are welcome.
Get up on me. Get up there.
Oh, what a cutie.
Okay, my office dog is here now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, how did I get into film, shooting film? My mom used to shoot weddings and just shoot family photos quite a bit. And she was a big scrapbooker, so she was always taking pictures of like camping, all kinds of stuff, and that was just normal. I remember going to Walmart to the 1 hour photo like once a week with her, and
Mhm.
we would walk around Walmart waiting for the film to develop. That was just like what we would do. And so when I was in middle school, I was really interested in becoming a botanist for some reason. I think it was the adventure side because I didn't care about plants at all. I just
Yeah.
cared about like getting in a canoe in the Amazon and
Yeah.
like exploring.
I
But
wanted to
I
be a
had to learn how to shoot
cartographer for the same
pictures.
reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You had to take pictures of the flowers you see and
Yeah.
discover, of course. So my mom let me just try out her camera to shoot flowers, and that was the first thing I ever shot on film was these flowers in the redwoods. And so that was my first experience with it. And then since then, I shot film in high school a little bit, um, and that was expensive. I remember but we didn't learn how to develop it all in high school. It was more you shoot it and you take it to Walgreens, get it developed, and then you bring your photos in.
Gotcha.
Um,
Whereabouts did you grow up too?
I grew up in Southern Oregon
Okay.
in the city of Rogue River.
Okay. Yeah, I got an aunt who lives down in Medford,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
So it's
thereabouts.
a little. I think the population of Rogue River is like 3,000 or something. It's
Yeah.
really
Okay.
small.
Where
It's
where is
between
that?
Grants Pass and Rogue River on I-5, or Grants Pass and Medford on I-5.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I've definitely driven through there a lot because like a lot of my family's in Brookings. So
Yeah,
we'd like fly into Medford all the time, drive the whatever through Grants Pass and
yeah,
then
yeah. The
go through the
101 or
canyon and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I've puked on that road so many times. But that's really cool. Okay. Yeah. Trying to think what's out there. Are there like vineyards and stuff out there?
there's vineyards. There's like Table Rock,
That's
which
what it is.
is
Okay.
two
Yeah.
flat mountainy things.
Is it the House of Mystery? Is that
Yeah, House of
out there?
Mysteries over there. The
Yeah.
Oregon Vortex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it's
It's
pretty
all
cool.
coming back to me now. Nice.
Very cool
Okay.
place.
Cool. Yeah. I kind of like it down there. It's cool. I want to get back down there because I got my aunt down there, and then my uncle is like into fly fishing, and he like wants to
Yeah,
take me to do that. That'd be kind of tight. So,
and getting down to the redwoods is always nice. So
oh yeah,
that area is, as you know, growing up down there is really beautiful. So
oh yeah. And like the last 2 summers, I like drove from Phoenix up to Brookings and stuff, and just like fantastic little drive
yeah,
and going through the redwoods. So nice compared to like all of just driving through most of California blows. It sucks so
yeah,
hard. Like driving the five in between LA and like Livermore, whatever.
it's the worst. Yeah.
Just this.
Uh,
Yeah, absolutely nightmarish. But yeah, that's really tight. Yeah. I would have liked to grow up down there too, because it's like more naturey and stuff. And Phoenix is cool, but it's just like
but there's not a lot of whole lot to do down there, probably, huh? Like as far
mm,
as recreation, I don't know what people do.
yeah, I mean, it'd probably be better if I was like more racist. Like it'd be more fun, but I'm just like not. So it's not a whole lot of recreation in that regard.
Yeah.
Did like I did scouts and stuff like that, so we'd camp a
Okay.
lot. But yeah, it's just like it's so hot all the time. And even when it
Yeah.
isn't hot, it's still pretty warm. So and we're you're not designed to live. I'm not designed to live in a desert by any stretch of the
For
imagination.
sure.
Um, but okay, interesting. So do you have any like particular influences outside of your mom and stuff for getting into film photography or getting into like creating stuff more generally? Because would you say you're more of like a videographer than a photographer?
Yeah, I think that that's videography has been more of what I've done, I think. And I've shifted, I don't know, I kind of do a blend always, of both. But yeah, I growing up, my brothers, I have two older brothers, and we would make a lot of home videos.
Hmm.
Um, and my the middle brother, he went into college to study filmmaking. And so I kind of saw his example because I never even thought like you could do that for a living. I just didn't even seem like something you wanted, like you not want to do it, that you could do.
Right.
Um, and then I was like, oh, I can do this and it's fun. Okay, I'll pursue that. And so when I got like to that age, I went to the same university as my brother, even. And so we were taking film classes together. And so that's why I've got that kind of background influence in video stuff.
Hmm. That's pretty cool.
But I've always taken photos because I always felt like photography sharpened my like cinematography skills, being
Yep.
able to frame things and composition and all that. So I've always had a camera with me, still photo camera with me throughout my life, along with video. But yeah, it's always a
I've
blend of both.
I felt the exact same way. That's why I got the Mamiya, just because I really like the idea of like really run and gun style filmmaking. There's just like some kind of chaotic energy that I think really like I don't know. It's something that I admire quite a bit. I would like to, excess
Yeah.
as much as possible. And having like 12 shots, having a square format, like you like again, limitations. Got to figure out how to make all this work into something that I find usable.
Uh,
And that kind of got me into that. I'm still not very great at it, but it's an active practice, The desire is there. Um, do you have any like aspirations for your video work? Like, do you want to do a DP on a film or do you want to like produce your own thing? What is your goal if you have any?
that's uh, that's a question I need to think about more often. A lot of it's because I'm kind of just going with the flow every year, and I'm kind of like I'm always busy, always have things that I'm getting hired to do, and so I think in the winter time is when I need like I usually kind of sit back a little bit more because I'm not shooting as much, and
Mhm.
I'm thinking of like what are some personal projects that I want to do. Um, I don't I just am more I'm always interested in telling stories. And so it's always a matter of like what's interesting to me and who can pay me to do it to
Yeah.
tell the story. That's usually how it goes. Um,
You'll have
it's
to help me with that latter part of the thing. I
yeah,
need some
that's
work on the
it's
getting
always the
paid
tricky
part.
part. Yeah, for sure. Getting paid is the part that's important, so you can keep doing it. Um, I
Just be nice.
I really enjoy it. The thing I've always found difficulty is finding reliable people to work with. And I don't mean to say like I'm like really a skilled person at all at what I do, but um, and maybe it's because the pool in Portland is not huge, or because I just haven't reached out far enough. I've only been living in Portland for like 5 years, but I usually like to have like a nice editor, a person who loves to edit, or someone who loves to be a sound mixer or whatever. So those things I've always taken those up myself and done those
Hmm.
jobs myself.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like I'm more like a director or cinematographer.
Hmm.
So I have a hard time like giving the reins away to someone else to take over when I think I can still do a better job than you. I don't want to do better. I don't want to be that, but I and so and so I'm always like looking for someone who like they specialize in that thing
Yeah.
better than me.
Then they want to do it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Fuck,
so
dude.
that's
Yeah.
always the struggle. but I'd love to do bigger projects eventually when I can
Yeah.
find a team of people. But I think I'm actually really content right now where I'm at because I have a 9-year-old daughter, and so I'm not traveling on these big film projects doing like a 4-month documentary in India.
Right.
I'm I'm able just to stick around locally and like, help raise her and be part of her life. And I had her really young. I was like 25 when she was born. I
Hmm.
mean, pretty young for these days. And so I think when I'm 42 or 43, she'll be out of the house,
Yeah.
and I'll still be pretty young and can still do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about like chasing big things now because I think I'll
Right.
have lots of time for that later.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. That's just really funny that you said all that, because I was literally having that conversation today where it's like, I don't think I'm like a control freak kind of person. Like I really am not. I
Uh,
just think like it's just easier when I just do everything. And like that, like I
sure.
wish it wasn't, because like I don't want, like I have to edit all the stuff, which like I've created. This is the position that I put myself in. I'm the only one to blame here.
Uh,
So I'm not trying to like whatever, but like it sucks sometimes. 'Cause like I got editing stuff to do, I got camera repair stuff, I got my other job to do, I
yeah.
got, whatever like other life activities I want to do, social things and stuff like that. And just feel like sometimes I'm like, it'd just be cool if I could get someone to edit some repair videos. Cause literally all it is just cut out all the times I say, which is a lot. Or just like cut out the bits where it's like I'm just go down the wrong rabbit hole or whatever. If I could just have something like that, it'd be great. It'd free up a lot of my time. And then I wouldn't have to worry about, okay, now I also have to edit this or whatever. If I
Yeah.
can get an editor for like these longer projects, that would make my life so much better. And all this stuff. But like part of me also really likes just doing it myself, because I can count on myself more than I've been able to count on others. A lot of like the people I met in film school were like really cool until you got to set, and then they didn't want to do anything. And then it was just
Yeah.
like, fuck. And I've run into that like a lot of times where like everything's great until the editing process, and then it just never gets done. Like I've got 2 or 3 short films that are like pretty much done, but they just haven't been cut together, or like there's little things that just need to be done and then they can be put out or whatever. But of everything I've shot, I had an editor lined up that really wanted to do it, and then I end up editing it,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things where like it's not a huge deal, but like it'd be really cool if I didn't have to like worry about that too. And then also setting up the production and getting everyone like coordinated, and then also like figuring out the shot list and stuff. Like you just kind of disperse that more. I feel like you could work on bigger projects, but
Yeah. Yeah.
right now I
Definitely.
just feel like I'm not doing any projects I'm like super enthused about,
Mhm.
which is kind of a bummer. But at the same time, I found like the more freelancy kind of work that I do, because a lot of the freelance stuff I've done is like nowhere near as cool as the stuff it looks like you do. Because a lot of mine is just like I did like broadcast freelance stuff for a bit, and that's like just so entertaining. It was
No.
so much room for creative potential. Or like I'll end up being a grip on something, or whatever, just like
Mhm.
random little thing. And like that's kind of fun, but it just at that point it's just having a job, and I'd
Yeah.
rather just do something completely different, so that way I'm not burnt out from filmmaking stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then
And I
also
think
not getting
the
paid very
market's
well.
the market's changing. It seems like as we can shoot with little cameras
Hmm.
and edit ourselves and whatnot, now it's becoming more economical for companies because they just need to produce a bunch of content,
Yeah.
and so it's becoming a little bit less humongous sets and more like quick guerrilla stuff, or just
Yeah.
not huge bunch of people behind it every video or whatnot. So I mean, if you want to keep pursuing video, it's a good time to do it, I guess,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of jobs that are springing up from little companies that need help with their marketing on Instagram and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just have
Um,
to shoot everything.
yeah, yeah. I have my little gimbal, and I've had to like figure out how to balance it, like so that it'll balance on the side, so I
Portrait
can shoot that way.
style.
It's
Nice.
great, great.
So good.
Um,
So much
but
art.
You adapt,
Yeah,
adapt by.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
the way you got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought about that a lot too. I would really like to find a good sound person. I knew one, but that was down in Phoenix. And yeah, I don't know. It'd just be nice to just have that in the back of my mind. So that way I could like, oh yeah, I can definitely take up this project, or all of like the short film ideas I have, I could like actually begin to pursue
Yeah.
and like put some tangible meat on the bones, so to speak. But yeah, for now, it just kind of feels like if I can get this show thing to take off, that'd be cool. Cause I feel like that'd be a lot of fun to just kind of keep flowing and do some more like creative things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just need to like make money, you
You just
know?
got to keep doing it, keep on making stuff, and
Yeah.
then that's how you get better. I was, um, my story is not really like anything crazy special, but when we first moved up here to Portland, I didn't have any job or anything. I was still like finishing up school, and we were just like, barely getting by kind of family. Um, but I knew this is what was going to make me happy, just
Hmm.
being creative and making stuff. So kept on pursuing it, kept on like pitching to companies just to hire me for little stuff. So, um, and now I'm finally able to like, I feel like I can comfortably like reach out to companies and be like, okay, there's a good chance I'll be hired for this, those kind
Right.
of, um, where before I was just like, I'll do anything for anything,
Please, please.
please. There's
Yeah.
like a story where I got an email from the bank that it was an overdraft fee email,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, man, we overdrafted again. Like we don't have enough money in the account. And at the same time, I had invoiced a company. I had done like a little job, like it was like $250, and I had invoiced them like a month before. They hadn't paid me, and somehow it wasn't on purpose, but I forwarded them the overdraft fee email with my, hey, when are you guys able to pay this to them? And so then in the process, I was like, I sent it, and I was like, oh shoot, I just sent them our overdraft fee email. I'm looking like really desperate now because I need
Oh
you guys
yeah.
to pay me so I can get my
Right.
bank
Yeah.
account back up to zero at least. So it was like a desperate sign that I had to write them. I'm so sorry, but can I just drive by your place and like pick up the check from you? You don't need to mail it. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. And so, those are times that make you either think that you should keep doing it or you look for something else, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like partially the reason I moved up here, for a few reasons, really. Just the weather's infinitely better. Or
Hmm.
at least it is now. It was not over the summer. I was so pissed because it was like raining like every other day down in Phoenix, and it's like 100 degrees up here. I'm
It's
like, what the
really hot up
fuck?
here.
I was
Yeah,
so mad.
walk for you.
Yeah, it's just my like bright personality, I guess. Brought it up here and just
Thank you so much.
you're so welcome. But yeah, like getting up here, because like there's a lot of work down in Phoenix, but it's all very corporate stuff. It's just very
Mhm.
like, all right, press record. And then the editing is just super like rudimentary. Just again, I'd rather just have a job at that point. But being
Yeah.
up here, it's like there's a little bit more of a creative energy and stuff like that, and just kind of a change of pace, pretty
Mhm.
much. And I feel like that's kind of like reinvigorating to some degree. And then also, I knew Chase through school, so it was like kind of being closer with him and like being able to feasibly have somebody to like work on projects with is nice. Even if we're like
Yeah.
not doing stuff, it's still like I know that if I wanted to do stuff, I could just like hit him up or whatever, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like having that is really cool. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be cool to have like a little bit more of a community. So like you could branch out and do bigger things, or like not even bigger things, but just more consistent things, I should say. And
Definitely.
then yeah, I would really like to, part of me wants to do more freelance stuff, but I just don't really want to do freelance gripping,
Yeah.
because that just like, or even like freelance cam opping, like it's kind of the same deal, or just like,
Yes. I mean, and the bigger the productions get, like, and the less creative input you are allowed to do. So
yeah.
totally, it's not as fun.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. You're just like, that was one of the things that I learned in film school. We had like this big capstone project, and everyone like had their role and stuff like that. And I did not like that at all. I mean, like it
Yeah,
was fun. Like there was some, I learned a lot. There was some good experiences, but like for the most part, I'm like, I definitely don't want to do this. Like I want to have like sets of like 5 people and shoot a
yeah,
film with that or whatever. Like not have 40 people where like 30 of them are standing around while 10 of them are like running around losing their hair because they're so stressed, you know?
uh,
So that was kind of an eye-opening experience. I'm like, this that never appealed to me to begin with, but that was just a reaffirmation of like, oh, I really don't want that at
for
all.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, when I was in film school, I really found the reason it was good was because I had access to equipment that I couldn't get anywhere else.
yeah.
But all the like films that I made were not assignments or anything. It was just like, I want to make this. I got the equipment. And then you film students, you don't really like care too much about this stuff, but do you want to just be like my sound guy for this? It
Oh
was
yeah.
like recruiting people to do like private projects
Yeah.
for me. So it was like I feel like that's kind of what you need to have. You got to have like kind of a drive that you're gonna like pursue something
I
to.
was just about to say that. Yeah, because that's one thing that I'm noticed a lot in film school. It's like there's so many people that have the best idea in the world. And then I'm one of those where it's like, oh, that's awesome. Let's do it. Like I want to like do things. If you have an
Yeah,
idea, I want to like help you achieve that. Like that to me is fun. If I have an idea, I want somebody to be just as jazzed about it and help me achieve that thing.
for
I
sure.
understand like realistically, no one's going to care about your project as much as you are, you know, it's just like not how things work. But you kind of want people that are close to that level of caring. You want them to like help you achieve things or like bring some level of input to it because at the end of the day, film is like a very collaborative thing, which is why I
Yeah.
enjoy it so much. But yeah, it's really hard when it's like you feel like you have to spend most of your energy like motivating people around you. And then when it comes to like creative problems that come up, it's like I have no desire to solve this because I am burnt out. And like the person that should want to be able to solve this doesn't care. Like they're
Yeah.
phoning it in or whatever. So yeah, there was a lot of instances where I was just like, all right, I don't want to work with you. This is just not going to work out. But I think like
Good
go,
people is important to have.
oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's
And
amazing how much it can change.
I think going through film school and stuff also really helped like kind of understand like the more abstract nature of working with people because I kind of got like there's more clearer tells in my mind when I'm like talking to somebody about like, oh, this is actually something they're serious about, or they just think it's a good idea, you
Yeah.
know, because I think I spent a lot of energy on people that just had good ideas and there's just no fruition to that idea. And it's just
Not
like,
gonna take it anywhere. Yeah.
yeah. So kind of left a
I,
bad taste in my mouth
that
there.
kind of reminds me, like we were shooting like a few night, like I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, that tunnel stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and we were talking afterwards about like, let's try. Like, I want to try developing in weird stuff. And that's when I was like, I think I mentioned I want to try developing caffeinol sometime.
Yeah.
And I had said that before to someone like months ago, and I was just like, I just got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I guess I'm talking about doing it and just actually do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's so much worth it. It's like worth it just to try it.
Yeah.
And
And I saw you did that and I was like, hell yeah. Like that was exciting because I've been doing the same thing for years. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then like I just don't. Like I'll find some reason or I'll just like forget about it or whatever.
yeah,
And it like, even if it doesn't turn out, it's still something that you explored. It's something that you attempted to do. And just like a reaffirmation of like, oh, you can just do things. Like you're an adult, you can just do things.
right, definitely.
Actually, I had a conversation with my nephew one time, and like we don't talk ever. He thinks he's like 8 or 10 or I don't know. It's a kid. And I see him like once every couple of years or something like that. And we were at Top Golf. Ugh, hate Top Golf. But like we're sitting there and just chatting. And like I think the last time we talked, he was like 5. So we talked about trucks. And so
uh,
like I don't know this because I'm like, oh, what trucks do you like? You know, it's just but we like started talking. He's like, oh, how old are you? And I was like, I think I was 23 at the time. I'm like, oh, 23. And he's like, oh, what'd you do for your 18th birthday? I'm like, I don't remember. Like, whatever. He's like, you know what I'm doing for my 18th birthday? I'm like, what's that? He's like, I'm gonna go skydiving. And I was like, oh, that's
Oh,
tight. Like, I want to go skydiving. And he's like, well, you're older than 18. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, why don't you go skydiving? I'm like,
yeah,
fuck. Why don't I?
for
It's like
sure.
this very sensible thing. Like, it just obviously there's like other reasons, but just like having that thought of like, yeah, there's like a lot that I just want to do that I just haven't done because reasons.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think like, yeah, moving up here was super nice because just like, oh, this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. Now that the
Mhm.
world's kind of calmed down a little bit, it just can do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of like I've been talking about figuring out my scanning situation for forever now, it feels like. And every time it's just like, I don't have the money or whatever, or like something else comes up or whatever. And just like just have to shit or get off the pot. And I hate talking about stuff a lot. Like I hate constantly bringing it up and then like not following through on that because I also really don't like when other people do that. So like I don't want to do that.
So I'll check in with you in a week and we'll see how your skiing situation is. Okay.
Perfect.
We'll see how it's looking.
I can confirm that whatever I got like the cheapest little like light table thing years ago. And I
Uh,
remember using that to begin with. I was like, I really don't like this. And I thought I'll get the flatbed and that will be helpful. But trying just the light thing just for the sake of ease, just for now, I'm not going to be using that. This one
yeah.
at least. I might get another one because I really do like the idea of just the mirrorless scanning. Like that just seems like the way to go. Um, but just need to get that figured out in my brain. I just don't really like the flatbed scanner that much.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I wish there was an easier way to do it too. And it's just time consuming
yeah,
is the problem. So
there was this one. Let's see, I think I had it pulled up on a tab. I'll like open up tabs and then like leave them instead of writing a list.
you gotta find it I'm
Yeah.
like, what was that thing I opened up?
Yeah, no, I don't have it. But there was this one, I think it was like the Pixima Pro or whatever. It was just like just for 35 millimeter. Cause I think the flatbed is fine for medium format stuff. Like it's okay,
Uh,
serviceable. Um, but the whatever the thing is was just like you put the 35 millimeter in and just kind of like glides through. I
yeah,
feel like that might be good. Kodak has one of those. I was like, I might look into that. I think they're like a couple $100 or whatever.
yeah,
Just because I have like I don't know, like 20 plus rolls that just need to be scanned. Like just an embarrassment.
that's crazy, man.
It's bad. It's so bad, dude.
My
It's
problem is I get too anxious to look at it or see it. I don't have anything that's on that needs to be done. I'm like I need to shoot more so I can. I just shot some today and I developed it today because I was like I need to do something. So I'm I'm in that stage where I because I just shoot it and then I put it out and then I
yeah,
shoot it and
yeah,
put it out. So
yeah.
it's never it's I'm always anxious to see what's there is my problem.
Yeah, I wish I had that problem. Like I feel like I do to some extent. Like I really enjoy seeing like the outcome of certain things, especially when I'm like testing a camera, or, like testing a new method or whatever. Like it's really
Yeah.
cool to see that. But it's just I know how frustrated like I don't get frustrated by a lot of things. Like I think the maps app on my phone frustrates me a lot. Certain drivers will frustrate me. Just like little things will get on my
Yeah.
nerves, but the scanner, oh my god, nothing has made me more just like vilely angry than this thing because it just sucks. Like it takes so long, and then afterwards I'm like, I spent all night to scan like 2 rolls of film, and this is what it looks like. Really, this is what we're doing now.
Well, I
So
think also you shoot a lot more 35 mil than me, right? So,
probably, yeah,
um, so I'm like, I don't scan a whole lot of 35 on mine, but I'm doing like the 6 at a time, or I guess it's 12 at a time on the flatbed scanner. And so I get through a roll after I do 3 scans on it and I get through a roll. I go 3 sessions of it.
yeah.
I don't shoot enough. 35 mil is just hard to scan and it's frustrating to scan.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I'll look into as soon as we end this call. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna see if I can find like a good little scanner, and
Okay.
I'll buy that, or at least think about buying because I
I'll
just
check in
bought.
with you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. But no, like that was the other night, though, going back to that, that was a lot of fun, just like going out and shooting like a little thing. It's like I want
Mhm.
to do more stuff like this, but I just feel like so bogged down and like repair stuff. It's really hard for me to like make my mind click from like mechanical to like artistic, which
Mhm.
kind of sounds like a weird thing, but it's something I've been trying to like piece together where it's like I'm thinking so mechanically. I can't really
Yeah,
think creatively as much.
makes sense.
So I didn't think that was ever like an issue for me, but I'm like spending so much time trying to solve so many different problems that I'm having.
Yeah.
So like my bandwidth has been pretty worn out. But yeah, I would love to do more creative stuff because I also feel like it just kind of helps like get some ideas flowing. I want to get back into writing and stuff like that. And it's again one of those things where just like just got to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm always like, oh, I can't because whatever.
What time?
Um, there was this one guy that was into photography, did like some like fine art photography, and I don't really like stuff like this. Is very like very, you know. But he was talking about when he started shooting film, he would just like set up these little shoots with people, and he would shoot like multiple little shoots on one roll of film just to like save money.
Uh,
I had that idea in my mind. I was like, that'd be super cool, just like setting up a bunch of little sets and doing like 3 shots per set or whatever, and like trying to
yeah.
figure out like, the how to spread those shots as much as possible. And so I worked on that like 2 years ago thereabouts. And I
Mhm.
got like some pretty interesting results. It wasn't like anything I felt super happy with. I did like a little video segment and then like the photos and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't mind doing like some more little stuff like that. And I was kind of hoping to implement some more of that into like the show in terms of just like, here's like a creative prompt or whatever. But then going back to it, it's like I spent so much of the time figuring out the logistics of like what we need to shoot today versus like the topics that we need to discuss. How am I going to get these interviews set up? Like, when am I going to edit these things? Like,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of like that stuff kind of bogs me down more than the creative things. And
On
that's
top
been
of
kind of,
film developing and scanning and everything, if that's what it's on. So
yeah, yeah. So it's just like a lot of moving parts there. But yeah, I would like to do more things that I enjoy rather than getting caught up with things that I don't enjoy as much.
yeah, and I coming from like a video background, I had played around with the idea like I guess earlier this year with like doing like a YouTube show or something about shooting film. But I found that when I'm trying to film myself shooting film, I'm not as creative, or I'm a little bit more like self-conscious about like how I'm doing things. And
Hmm.
so it was like really kind of throwing me off. So because I tried a few times, I like have a GoPro like on my arm or something.
Yeah.
And, and I was just like, you know what? I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can do like little things like with my phone and I'm like a little reel or something. But it wasn't my cup of tea. And more power to all the people that have like they've got their way they do it figured out. You can
Yeah.
I don't know how they figured out how to look down at their TLR,
I
and
don't.
because I can never figure out how to not get my weird reflection in there.
I don't know. It's some kind of sorcery though, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other way. Even if I'm just like taking a picture, I have to like cover so much of it, and it's
Look
just
through.
it's so goofy. And then I'm like, again, I'm just like, why am I doing this? Like, nobody cares about this at all.
Yeah,
But
that's one thing. Yeah, I think it's a good reminder. No one cares.
yeah, yeah,
Like, we think it's a big deal. It doesn't. It's not that big of a deal.
no, but nobody cares. Nobody cares. It was just like when I'm like showing someone like this cat video I made or whatever, and, like spent hours on just like an
Uh,
irrational amount of time. I was like, oh, this is so great. And I like show someone and they're like, neat.
it
I'm
is
like,
like the worst feeling, but also it's I don't know. I think the process is when you get the most out of it. Really, you know.
yeah, I would
So
agree. And I think that's something I've really learned through like camera repair stuff is like I could figure something out, like a problem that's been like plaguing my mind for months. I'll figure it out and it'll feel like the best thing in the world. But trying to explain that to somebody just immediately diminishes like whatever
yeah,
joy I receive because it's like
uh,
you spend so much time having to like walk them through the issue you're having, why it matters, how you fix all this stuff. And then by the time like you get around, they're like, oh, that's nice. I'm like,
It's like a magician with his magic trick, sharing
Yeah,
the magic trick, and like once you know that how it actually was like done, you're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that's not a big deal.
whatever. Yeah, and it's
So,
just like, so it really helped me like internalize whatever like fulfillment that I felt, and just feel that. Don't
yeah,
expect anyone else to give that to you because they like can't, despite like what their best efforts might be. It's just not going to be
yeah,
what you want it to be.
and I feel that with like film, I have to try to like remember like, okay, it's midnight and I'm developing film in my bathroom. This is the time to cherish. Like I'm dancing to music or something in here because
Yeah.
I'm just trying to stay awake or whatever. But like this is the moment that matters more than actually posting it on Instagram because who cares what other people think? It's more about just the expression of self. So I'm
Yeah.
that's why I'm still learning that, but
Yeah. Well, I think going back to like one of the earlier points we made, where it's like talking about, people who use cameras because it's like an expensive camera or something like that. I think there's like some lack of fulfillment in that regard because it's kind of a positioning of appearances of like, oh, look at me, I'm a good photographer because I have this camera. And I feel like the hope is that people will give them that adornment for their equipment as opposed to their actual work. So it's like
yeah,
this constant need to have that fulfillment from other people. Whereas if you are enjoying like every stage of the process yourself, or not enjoying it but learning things or whatever, like that in turn is just a better way to approach not only film photography but just life more generally,
yeah,
where okay, I can just do the things I want to do because I want to do them,
exactly,
and I don't have to worry about other people watching and like approving or something like that.
for sure.
So that's kind of something that, again, I kind of have to remind myself because it's like you get really caught up in like what everyone else thinks or like, "Well, how's this gonna do or whatever. And just
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter. Just kind of have to like keep doing it. So
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
More
I
and more
did
of that.
have another question. I don't remember what it was.
No more questions allowed.
God damn it. Ah. Um, I guess that was it. Those are all my questions. Do you have any points you want to talk about? Is there anything you want to discuss?
Um, I was gonna just talk about like film development in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's um I like it's weird because some people, a lot of people, it's kind of like the same thing we were talking about. Like I hear from a lot of people, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. Like, and then I got to learn. Like, I would have learned some time, and that's one of my like. It's not a pet peeve, but it's just like, okay, then do it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
stop saying that you're gonna do it, but do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. For me, it's been like very fulfilling to develop film, but
Yeah.
some people can't stand it, and that's okay. So
I read Walden by Ralph Waldo Emerson. I read that in it's like really early pandemic times, 2020. And I remember reading that and I was just like so fascinated, first of all, because I was like, this is perfect. Like, I want to live that life so bad.
uh,
Just like put me by a little lake and let me live.
yeah, yeah,
But there was this bit, he goes, have you read it before I
I
look
haven't. No,
okay. I would recommend it. I think I can find it. I'll let you borrow it if I can find it. But are you a reader before I just
yeah,
throw a book? Okay.
I do love to read. Yeah,
I think it's fantastic, but he goes into great detail about like a lot of the mundane things, and I really enjoy that. But he talks about like making bread. It's like
uh-huh.
unleavened bread or whatever. And I grew up and my grandma made bread like almost every day. It felt like she had like drawers in her kitchen island for like flour and sugar.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
it was fantastic. So I like would help her and like help them garden and stuff like that. Like I got really into that. So it's always been kind of like a passive desire of mine to like, I want to be able to do these things. And after reading that, Walden, I was just like, I can just bake bread. Like that can just be a thing that I do. So that's when I
Uh,
started baking more.
yeah,
And now it's just kind of like if I think about something like, oh, that'd be kind of interesting to try out, it's like, okay, then do it. And it's been
yeah,
really helpful for me to like, it's a more of a safe thing too, because I just will send people pictures of it if it turns out, or if it doesn't turn out, then I don't. Or but like there's no like competition. It's just like
Uh-huh.
because I want to do what I'm doing it. And I feel kind of the same way about film photography because I don't make any money off of it. Like it's
Uh-huh.
not something that I'm like I have a lot of stake in. I do in terms of like repairing cameras and stuff like that, but that's
Yeah.
kind of different. So it's just kind of nice to have a thing where the stakes are pretty low, but the enjoyment's pretty high.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just so many different elements to get into. And it's just a kind of nice reminder to be like, oh, you can do pretty much whatever you want if you just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
I think, I
yeah.
mean, with that, like doing like repairing cameras, taking photos, doing video, baking bread and other goodies. I think like having that variety is really important.
Hmm.
For me, like I have at least two worlds where, like on one side, I'm an ultra runner. I'm like a mountain biker, a bike packer, and on this side, I'm like a film photographer, and on the other side, I'm a videographer. So like not making film like my full identity, I think is really important. Like
Yeah.
it's something I enjoy doing, but it's not all of me because if you put all your eggs in one basket, that's not going to be a good thing usually.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot, and I find too that like being able to transition from one to the other really helps. Like if you're ever experiencing like roadblock in one avenue, where it's
Definitely,
just
yeah.
like I really want to figure out this thing instead of like just sitting and staring at it, which is what I've been doing a lot of lately. Doing something different to keep my mind off of it will help you figure that out. What's the dude that was in the bathtub that figured out the mathematic proof or whatever?
I
Some
like
like old, you know, whatever physic or thing or whatever. Like dude just like sat in a bathroom. He's like, oh, this is object displacement or whatever. But yeah, just like having different things to go to is helpful for that. But then it's also really helpful in communicating, I found,
mm,
because you're able to like, if you know a little bit about a bunch of different things, you can kind of relate to more people. But then also more importantly, like when people are talking to you about things, you can be more understanding of whatever it is that they're talking about.
yeah,
And I feel like there's a really weird precedence that people have more currently that kind of makes sense if you think about it. But like we have this constant desire to like share our experiences as the experience
yeah.
or whatever. And it just feels like a lot more talking than listening at times. And I'm, prone to that as well. But it's still one of those things where like we have this like weird insecurity that like our perspective is not being heard as much as it should be. So I'm just going to talk over whatever it is you have to say and share mine, even though it might not be very applicable to the situation. But the more that you kind of know about things, the less you feel that desire because you can understand there's like many different walks of life that people go through. And
Yeah,
the less you talk, the more you tend to learn.
definitely.
But I don't know. That's a whole other can of worms. But yeah, it is interesting. Um, and yeah, I think with film photography too, there's a certain community element that I was like really hesitant about up
Mhm.
until I like met all the people up here. Seemed to be very
Yeah,
kind people. But a lot of the other folks that I met, there was like some like weird, deep rooted insecurities. And it just felt like every time I would like talk to them, it's just like having to deal with their egos first and foremost.
yeah.
And like, I don't like that at all. Like, I just want to have a conversation and they're just like showing me like this picture they took, or like, oh, well, this film is the best, or this camera is the best thing ever. And it's just like, I don't really care about those things. Like, it's interesting for sure. Like, I love hearing people's preferences, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think like the greatest thing about the group dynamic, my favorite thing is like introducing new people to it,
Oh,
to
yeah.
filmmaking or film shooting, because it's just so much fun to see someone like go like, "Whoa, this is rad," and I don't need to have the latest, coolest camera. I can just jump in and do it.
Yeah.
Uh, that's always I hope that we can, at least in the Portland area, we can keep on like encouraging people and not shooting people down. you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I find I'm like more wary of that in like the group topics and stuff. Like, oh, someone just is asking a question about how do I push my film, or saying like I pushed my film. What does that mean? Like a new person who's first coming into this room isn't going to know what that means. So
Yeah.
let's maybe explain it before we start asking all about it.
Yeah.
Those types of things. I think we can try to be more I don't know, understanding of
Yeah.
others, and like trying to see from their perspective, and see like, oh, we should be more welcoming to people. And
Yeah.
I
And
think
I think,
we do an okay job of that. But
oh, I would definitely say like I never at one point feel like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like there's weird butting of heads ever. It just feels like if someone has a question, like, oh, here's this cool picture I took, it's usually pretty warm reception and stuff like that, which
yeah,
is not at all what I was expecting, to be completely honest. Like I was just like so worried that like the first time I like hung out with people, I was like, I'm not gonna know anything. Everyone's gonna be like, talking shit about whatever. And it's just like I was so like, because that's all the experience I've had previous to that was like people that were like really weird and insecure about stuff, and then they made it everyone else's problem, and it's just
yeah,
like I don't want any part of that. But no, it's been super chill. It's really nice. Um, I don't remember the last walk thing I went on, but I did. I messaged Amelia because I was like, "Oh, I'd love to do the developing thing or whatever,"
uh,
and then just realized that Chase and I are going up to Vancouver next weekend to shoot the little special for the end of the season.
oh, what?
So
There's a special down there, up there.
yeah, yeah. It was this, okay. So I really like old Top Gear, but not a huge fan of cars, but I love the old Top Gear show.
Uh,
So that's I kind of modeled the film photography show off of that, where it's
yeah,
like the presenters doing like weird things or whatever. And then at the end, there's like a big special where they do like a trip kind of thing. And so that was the idea of like, we'll just take the train up to Vancouver and then just like shoot like a weekend of activities and make it like some big cumulative event thing to end
yeah,
the season with. And then, yeah. So I'm like looking forward to that. But I just bought the tickets today and realized like, oh, that's next weekend. Back.
yeah.
So I'm kind of bummed to miss out on that because it sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. And also, apparently, she has a lot of cameras too, and I really want to look at
I'm
them
looking.
because I
Yeah,
like
I
my
think she'd be really
cameras.
fascinating to talk to. I haven't actually met her yet, in person. She invited me to the group like months ago when
Yeah,
it first started, but I haven't even met her before. And the last, I think, month or two, I've been gone every weekend for
yeah,
work or other things. So I haven't been able to do any photo walks either. So
yeah.
I'm gonna try to make it to the developing.
Oh, tell me about this thing tonight that you're doing.
Oh yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do film. If you end up joining, you're welcome to do film. But
Okay.
there is a company that I've shot digitally for since came to Portland. One of the first clients I ever had, and they're based in St. John's.
Okay.
And they're a running clothing company, really kind of small little thing. And they're doing their company is called Territory Run Co. And they're gonna do the Scaratory Run tonight.
That's pretty fun.
And I think, as far as I know, I think there were like 40 people signed up to do it. Um, and it'll probably be like 30 or 20, something like that. It'll probably be a lot less than who signed up.
Yeah.
But they're gonna run across St. John's Bridge, do this like 6 mile route through Forest Park and back. And they just needed some people to be scary or just be creepy out on the trail. And my daughter was interested, so I said, we'll do it. And so in like probably like a half hour, we're gonna head out that way and set up some like scary Bluetooth speaker with music and or like creepy stuff going on, and some different things on the trail. And I'll bring my flash camera wherever I put it, and I'll just shoot some people.
Very nice.
I haven't shot with a lot of flash people like in the past, so gonna just have some fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I might give it a rip. I'm gonna see what I can get done here because I would like to actually get out. So I might scoot out a little bit later. And if you just
okay.
send me where you're at, I'll roll up.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a little pin on your favorite app, the Maps app. But
It's my favorite. I don't know
I
what it is, but sometimes I'm just like,
the one tricky thing is we're going to be out on the trails, and I'm not
yeah,
sure if you'll be able to find us out there. But if you did happen to meet us at the trailhead, at the right in time, then we could direct you where to go. But
Okay. But yeah, thank you for doing this because, like I said, it kind of fell through, and I needed something for tomorrow. So this works great.
well, hopefully it works out for you.
We'll see. All right, bud. Well, I will catch you in a
Yeah, I'll
bit.
send you a pin, and if you can make it, rad, and you can join us. And if not, no worries.
Cool. All right. See you, dude.
Okay,
Thank you
see ya.
again.
Charlotte, I'm in charge of scaring people, right, Charlie? And we don't really know what we're going to be doing. We're going to be playing some creepy music because after they run through, we're going to run down the trail and go left to another spot where they're going back to the rest. Oh, we should just pile a bunch of sticks in the way so they have to trip over. This isn't what I want to play. This is an advertisement.
Ooh, spooky. The real terror was the
Amazon.
Yeah. So what film do you have in there?
Pass by if you dare.
No!
What's
No!
with all the anticipation? Everyone say territory. Yeah. We get one more, 1, 2, territory. Let me check if I got that in focus because it may not be.